Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience. I'm here tonight with my first impressions of the Hifiman Audivina. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this is a high-end closed-back headphone from Hifiman. They don't do a lot of closed-backs. They're pretty much known for open-back headphones. And this was loaned to me from Hifiman for review, and I wanted to give you my feelings about this. And I will be honest right from the beginning, I have some mixed feelings. I've seen a few other reviews of this, and they're kind of all over the place. Some people really like it, and some people hate it, and I'm kind of down the middle with it, so I'll tell you what I think. I think this headphone has some really good qualities to it, and then some that I'm not absolutely crazy about. So I'll get into the sound of this in a few minutes. First of all, I wanted to talk about, give you some specs and details. So this currently sells for $1,999, so it's actually the same price as the Hifiman HE1000 SE. At its current price. That used to be a $3,500 headphone, but it's now available for $19.99. This actually looks quite a bit like the HE1000 SE or the HE1000 Stealth, just a closed back version with wooden ear cups. So anyway, this is a wired full-size over-the-ear closed back headphone. It does use planar magnetic drivers, and it does use stealth magnets. And the very short version of stealth magnets, basically a planar magnetic driver, has magnets that go across the plane, or both on the inside and outside, across the diaphragm. And the difference with stealth magnets is if you look at the magnets from the end, they're a half circle instead of a square or a rectangle. So the idea is this rounded edges create a better, less distorted sound wave as it goes over the magnets into the ear. So these headphones have an impedance of only 20 ohms and a sensitivity of 97 decibels at 1 milliwatt, so they're actually pretty easy to drive for a planar magnetic headphone, a lot easier than some of the older Hifiman headphones. Hifiman claims a weight of 470 grams, which is a little on the heavy side, but not that bad for a full-size closed-back headphone. According to my kitchen scale, they actually weigh in a little bit lighter at 462 grams. This headphone comes with 3 cables, one with a 3.5 millimeter connection at the amp end, one with a 6.3 millimeter single-ended, and then a 4-pin full-size XLR balance cable. And it does come with a case. I guess I'd describe this as a semi-hard case. It's not soft like cloth, but it's not hard, rigid plastic. I mean, you can't stand on it or anything, but it's pretty sturdy, and it does come with this case. And the ear cups appear, I'm pretty sure these are real wood ear cups, and I'll roll in here and show you the headphone a little better. And as you can see, it looks a lot like the 1000 series, either the 1000 Stealth or the SE. It has the identical headband, stainless steel, aluminum connections, aluminum here, aluminum yokes. You've got, it feels like a suede. I don't know if it's real suede or synthetic suede, but nice comfortable head strap. And then they swivel this way and they slide up and down here, the connections, and very adjustable, very comfortable. And as you can see, and like I said, I think these are real wooden ear cups, but they don't seem to be real thick. This trim around here, I'm not sure if that's aluminum or plastic, I can't tell. I did want to show you something unique about these, and I don't think any of the other Hifiman headphones are like this. The ear pads actually stick on with almost like a Velcro material instead of the typical Hifiman plastic ring with 4 tabs. And I don't know, I don't think the SE is that way. I didn't check the 1000 Stealth. But while I have this off, I did want to show you something. The driver looks quite a bit different on this than on the 1000 SE. You can see here that number one, it's got a pretty thick plastic frame around here, or whatever. This is what the Velcro sticks to. It's actually kind of, but it's not a cloth. I guess it's some sort of plastic. Then it's got, I'm guessing this is something sound goes through, but you can only see a very small part of the actual driver here. And I'll show you the difference with the 1000 SE. It actually looks quite a bit different. Let me see if I can get this stuck back on here straight. And before I forget, I wanted to show you the pads are tapered, and they're a synthetic leather with a real soft inside here, and they're actually very comfortable headphones. But let me show you the 1000 SE here. See, the driver, you can see a much, I don't know if the driver's actually larger or you can just see a lot more of it, but there's a lot more of the planar magnetic driver actually exposed in these. So that might account for some of the difference in the sound. But anyway, these headphones are actually very comfortable. The 1000 SE, the 1000 Stealth are very comfortable. I think these are slightly heavier being closed back. And once again, I do have that issue with the long oval or egg-shaped ear cups. They do ride kind of low, and can, after a while, give me a little bit of an issue with my TMJ, but it's usually not a problem for an hour or so, and I usually just need a few minutes of break. But it's actually a very comfortable headphone. The ear pads are thick and very soft and a nice material, and the adjustment's good and all that. So anyway, before I get into the sound of these, I did want to mention the equipment that I've used so far, and once again, this is just my first impressions. This is not a full review. And when I do my full review, I will, of course, use more amps. I like to use several amps with a headphone, several DACs, find out what matches up, what synergizes real well, because sometimes, you know, a really good amp might not work with a particular headphone, or, you know, a good DAC or whatever, or a good headphone might not sound right. You know, it might sound great with one amp and not another. So I think you got to mix it up a little bit and get an overall look at it. So anyway, so far reviewing this and listening to this, I've been using an SMSL PL200 CD player, and if you've been following my channel, you know I'm a CD guy, and almost all my reviews are done with CDs. But this is a new CD player for me. I have it in for review right now, and I will try to get my first impressions out on that very soon. But that's what I'm using right now, but I'm not using it as a CD player. I'm using it as a transport, putting out a digital signal, and then when I do my review, I will of course try it as a CD player, but for now I'm just using it as a transport. And I'm running it into the Topping A70 Pro D70 Pro Saber stack that I have in for review. I'm also using it to into my Hifiman Serenade, which is a combination DAC amp that's currently in for review, and I need to get a first impressions out on that soon. And also the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2, which is a combination DAC amp that you can probably see sitting here right behind me. So those are the three amp DAC combinations that I've used so far reviewing this, and the only headphone I've compared this to so far is the Hifiman HE1000 SE, and I used to not do any comparisons when I did my first impressions, but I found out that my ears quickly adapt to a headphone or DAC or amp or whatever, and I need to at least do a brief comparison to know if you know, it's way off or there's something going on that I just don't notice until I do the comparison. So I did briefly compare this to the Hifiman HE1000 SE, and I chose that headphone because it sells for the same price. They're both at $19.99. So getting into the sound of this headphone. Like I said earlier, I did check out a couple of reviews, and they're really mixed. There's people that really like this headphone, and there's people that hate this headphone. And I can kind of understand why. This headphone isn't for everyone, but it does have some really good qualities. So that's what I'm going to try to do my best to describe. And like I said, this is just a first impressions. Usually my full review, I put a month or two of substantial listening into something and do a lot of comparisons. And I will compare this eventually in my full review to the HE1000 Stealth. I've got the Aria Organic in, and I'll try to find a closeback to compare this to. I don't have anything in the same price range. I've got an $800 closeback, and I've got a $3,400 closeback that I can compare it to. But so anyway, into the sound. I would describe this headphone as being the sound of this is kind of neutral, but not really. I guess the best way I can describe it is it's neutral with a bit of a peak in the middle, in the mids. Kind of an upside down V-shaped. A lot of headphones these days are going with a V-shaped frequency range, and this is almost a reverse V. It's actually, I would say, I haven't seen actual measurements of this headphone. I have no way to actually measure it myself, but based on what I'm hearing, I would say this has got a peak in the mid-range. Okay, like I said, an almost upside down V or upside down U. This headphone has really good sub-bass extension. It does get pretty low, and it's actually comparable to the HE1000 SE in the sub-bass. It does get in low. It's not emphasized, but it does go down low. The mid and upper bass is, it sounds a little on the soft side to me. When I compared this to the 1000 SE, the SE seemed to have a little more punch to the mid and upper bass than this does. It's just, it's tight, it's well controlled. It just doesn't have a whole lot of weight. I think the SE has slightly more weight to the mid bass and upper bass, and the 1000 Stealth actually has more bass than the 1000 SE, and the Aria Organic actually has more bass than both of those. So if you're a bass head, I would, the 1000 SE is probably not for you. This probably isn't for you, but the 1000 Stealth is getting a little closer, and the Aria Organic actually has some pretty good bass that's going to make all but extreme bass heads happy. So anyway, the bass, mid bass, upper bass, a little bit on the soft side, not real dynamic. The mids are what makes this headphone kind of weird sounding to me, and I think it's the reason not everyone likes this headphone. The mids to me are actually a little on the cool side of neutral. I wouldn't really say cold, but definitely on the cool side of neutral, where the 1000 SE and the 1000 Stealth, and especially the Aria Organic, I would say are definitely on the warm side of neutral. So this has a completely different sound from any of those, and it's because the mid-range is actually on the cool side of neutral. So to me, the mids sound kind of dry, kind of sterile, and kind of analytical. Very good detail, but it's not a warm, lush sound at all. It's in fact, vocals, both male and female vocals, both have that dry, sterile, analytic sound to them. It's just kind of, and they sound kind of shouty. That's what I noticed. The first thing I notice about this is the mids are very forward, and they're kind of in your face, and not only kind of dry and sterile, but kind of shouty. It almost sounds kind of like, you know, if you cup your hands and shout at someone, or if you put your hands by your ears, it kind of changes the sound of everything. It amplifies it, but it sounds kind of, it makes it more of a, I guess, shouty. That's the only word I can think of, really. And I think that's the reason not a lot of people like this headphone. The treble is actually very similar to the HE1000 SE. It's very detailed, it's very clean, and it's well balanced, and it's all there. It's not like a little narrow peak or anything. The detail on this is the strong point of this headphone. It's actually exceptional. In fact, I would say through most of the frequency range, it's very equal to the 1000 SE, which is one of the most detailed headphones I've ever heard. And this actually outdoes the 1000 SE in the mid-range. You actually hear more mid-range detail with this than the 1000 SE, the 1000 Stealth. It's because, I guess, you know, that what sounds like a peak in the mid-range, and it's just, the detail is incredible. So if you're listening to instrumental music without vocals, you're going to hear an incredible amount of detail in the mids, upper mids. It's, you know, very, very detailed headphones, but especially in the mids. The soundstage, for a closed back, it's actually quite large. It's not quite as large as the 1000 SE or the 1000 Stealth. I would say it's actually more similar to the Aria Stealth, which has decent width to the music. The music's out pretty far, but the Aria Stealth is kind of different than the 1000 series, where the Aria Stealth, the vocals are kind of focused right in the middle. The vocals don't really wrap around, they're focused in the middle, and that's the way this is. Compared to the 1000 SE, the soundstage is almost as wide as far as the instruments, but the vocals are definitely more narrow and centered, where the 1000 SE, they wrap around you more. Isolation, I want to mention that. This is a closed back, and that's usually the reason that people buy closed back headphones, is for the isolation. Both as far as keeping outside noise out so you can enjoy your music, and also keeping the music in so you can listen to your music without bothering other people. And to be honest, these do isolate better than any of the open back headphones, but they're not the best I've heard compared to other closed backs as far as isolation. They do keep some of the outside noise in or out, but not a lot. You can still hear, you know, the louder outside noises, and then as far as your music, these do leak some music. Even for a closed back, you can hear the music outside of these. Not as well as the open backs, but compared to, say, the Kennerton Rogner planar version, which is more expensive than this, but that has excellent isolation both inside and out. You can barely hear any music leaking from that, where this sounds almost like an open back. It does leak some music. So that kind of takes away the advantage of the closed back. I mean, it does help a little bit. It's better than an open back as far as sound leakage both in and out, but not as good as some other closed backs. In fact, the LSA HP2, which costs less than half what this does, has better isolation both in and out than this does. So overall, what's my opinion of this? I'm not crazy about it. I'll be honest. I would take the 1000 SE, the 1000 Stealth, the Aria Organic, any of those over this. Mostly because of the cooler, drier mid-range. I'm at a place recently where I appreciate some warmth and musicality to my sound, and these don't have that. If you're after every last bit of detail, especially in the mid-range, then these might be just what you want. It's not a bad headphone. Some people, you know, describe this headphone as a disaster, that it's just, you know, they ask what was Hifiman thinking when they designed this headphone. And I do kind of get it, and to be honest, my ears, or it's not my ears really, it's my brain, pretty quickly adjust to different tone balances, and to be honest, I could adjust to this. After like an hour of listening, it starts sounding more right. But if I switch over to the 1000 SE, there's definitely a difference. The 1000 SE just has a much warmer, richer mid-range. Vocals, both male and female, have a lot more body, more weight to them. And the SE doesn't have that shouty sound that this does. Some vocals I actually find annoying, especially at louder volumes. They can just sound kind of screechy to me. So, like I said, not a bad headphone, but not my favorite. But let me put some more time on this. Give me a few weeks, a month. Let me listen to this some more. And like I said, it's in the reach of my brain adjusting to where it actually sounds like a good headphone. And like I said, the mid-range detail is just insane. I've never heard another headphone with as much mid-range detail. So I'd imagine there's a few of you out there that are gonna really like this headphone, think it's great. I mean, the price, it's up there, $19.99. You can buy the SE1000 for that same price. I personally would take the SE1000, but I'm fine with open back headphones. I don't need a closed back. So, you know, but don't buy this thinking it's a closed back version of the 1000 SE. It definitely has a different sound. It's not even a closed back version of the 1000 Stealth or the Aria Organic. It doesn't really sound like any other Hifiman headphone I've listened to. But once again, I'm not saying that it's a bad headphone. It's just really not my cup of tea, but give me some more time with it and let me listen to it. And something I did notice, with the topping stack, I noticed the mid-range being a little drier and a little shoutier, where with the Hifiman Serenade, which is an R2R DAC and amp that has a warmer sound, it actually tames that down a little bit. So with the right DAC and amp, it might actually turn out to be a really good headphone. In fact, I'm gonna try this with a couple of tube amps. I haven't done that yet. And with a tube amp, it might make a complete difference. With the right tube amp, it might warm up the mid-range enough that I can really recommend this headphone. So I'll do that before I get to my full review. So I'll try to be back. To be honest, I've got a ton of equipment in and a ton of reviews to do, so it's probably going to be at least a month before I get back to my full review with this, so please be patient with me. But that's where I'm at, and this is my busiest time of the year with my lawn care business, and unfortunately I've got to keep doing that. I can't afford to be a full-time reviewer. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'll get back to you as soon as I can with a full review. I'm going to try to get a couple of first impressions out on some new equipment in the next week. And I apologize, it's been like almost a month since I've actually done a review. So I had some craziness going on in my house. House full of people and just crazy stuff, and wasn't able to do much critical listening or wasn't able to shoot any videos or all that. So hopefully I can get back on track now with my YouTube channel. Once again, well, I guess not once again, I didn't say it yet. Thanks for watching my video. You're all welcome to join us at the Headphone Experience on Facebook, which is up to 31.3 thousand members. If this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. And once again, thanks for watching my video.